In this week's Torah portion, we learn about the power of being very passionate about something. Shalom, my friends. This is the Akiva Gersh with Israel in 5, where we give you everything Israel in 5 minutes. Please like and subscribe. And if you have any questions, want to keep the conversation going, please do so below in the comments. This week's Torah portion is named Pinchas. And this is following the story at the very end of last week's Torah portion, where a man named Pinchas, who is the grandfather of Aaron, the son of Moses, rises up and strikes somebody in the children of Israel who did something very, very bad. If you want the details, go into the Bible and you'll see them. But he strikes up against somebody who did something very, very bad with another neighboring nation. And he's the only one in the nation of Israel who rises up to do this. Everyone just kind of stands around and watches, does nothing, is quiet, looks away. And he can't do that. He sees something that's being done that's wrong, specifically in the eyes of God, and he rises up and he takes action. And this really sums up who Pinchas is. And as a result of what he did, which some people actually believed was wrong, he was giving a blessing by God, the blessing of the covenant of peace. And he becomes one of the priests, which he wasn't before for certain technical reasons, even though he's from the lineage of Aaron. So he gets a very special Brit Shalom, it's called, a covenant of peace, and he becomes one of the priests who will eventually serve in the tabernacle throughout the years of wandering around the desert. Now, it's a very interesting thing, because he rises up, he does something that other people believed, again, was either wrong or even violent, but he did it out of conviction. He didn't do it for himself. He didn't do it, as a punishment, so to speak, necessarily. He did it for the honor of God. He did it for the honor of what's right. He did it because he believed what was happening was deeply and inherently wrong. And his passion for what's right, his passion for justice, for righteousness, is what motivated him to do what he did, to rise up above and beyond anybody else in the nation. Literally, nobody else even thought of or took an action, took a step towards doing what he did. And this really shows us the power of passion. When you have such a strong conviction, when you know that what you're thinking is right, and it leads to an action in order to correct a wrong in the world. There's a really strong power in that. And Judaism recognizes that, and we see that in the story of Pinchas. Right? Later on in the Torah portion, we see another kind of story of passion. There's a census done for the nation to see how many males there are in the nation, just over 600,000. And then Moses is directed to how to divide up the land of Israel once they get there. And it will be after the tribes, it'll be after the head of the household, after the men, and if there's not a father, then after the brothers. Well, there was a man named Zelophehad, and he had 5 daughters and no sons, and he had died. And so when his 5 daughters hear that the land of Israel will be divided up based on fathers or brothers, they felt like they're going to be left with nothing, right? What about us? And so they actually go to Moses, and they say, hey, that's not fair. Our father died. We don't have any brothers. What about us? We're going to be left with nothing in the land of Israel. And something very interesting happens. Moses says, hold on, let me talk to God about it. He didn't know the answer right then and there. Moses didn't know the answer. So he confers with God, and God tells him, they're right? If there's no father, there's no brothers, of course it's going to go to the sisters. And they will have a part. They will have a place in the land of Israel. And when the land is divided up, eventually they get their part. They get their piece. But the way the story is told, the way the story reads, this only happened because they stood up, that they spoke up, that they declared their desire for a portion in the land of Israel based on their passion for the land of Israel. Going back to this idea, if they weren't passionate about the land of Israel, they wouldn't have cared. They never would have said anything, and they wouldn't have ever gotten anything. But because of their passion, because of their conviction, their commitment, their love for the land of Israel, they said, hey, what about us? It caused Moses to have a conversation with God about something he had never heard of before. He didn't even know the answer to that question, right? And on some level, even brought a new law into the world based on their passion. So in this week's Torah portion, we see 2 very powerful and beautiful stories and examples of the importance of passion, right? Directing our passion. We know that there are negative passions in the world, but these are positive passions, and we can and we do have positive passions. And to connect to those and to focus those, direct those in our lives in order to bring goodness into our lives and into the world.